Imagine someone takes your house and keeps it for almost 90 years. Now, imagine you grow up hearing stories about that loss your whole life. The city is sacred. It means everything to your people. And then one day, you're the one who has the chance to take it back. What would you do? Would you destroy everything? Or would you surprise the world? This is the story of Saladin, the man who defeated the Crusaders, took back Jerusalem, and shocked everyone with how he chose to win. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why even his enemies respected him. Let's travel back about 900 years. There was a series of wars called the Crusades. Soldiers from Europe traveled thousands of miles to the Middle East. Their goal was to capture Jerusalem, a city holy to Christians, Muslims, and Jews. In 1099, during the First Crusade, European armies captured Jerusalem. It was a brutal takeover. Many people in the city were killed. After that, Crusader Kingdoms were set up in the region. They built giant stone castles and ruled the land for decades. But here's the important part. The Muslim world around them was divided. Different rulers controlled different areas. Instead of working together, they often argued and fought each other. And that's where Saladin's story begins. Saladin wasn't born in a palace. His real name was Yusuf ibn Ayyub. He was born in 1137 in what is now Iraq, into a Kurdish family. His father and uncle were soldiers, so he grew up around military life. But as a boy, he wasn't famous for fighting. He studied religion. He learned about leadership and law. He was thoughtful, calm, and patient. He didn't look like a future legend. As he grew older, he worked under a powerful Muslim ruler named Nur ad-Din. Saladin was sent to Egypt, where there was political chaos. Leaders were fighting for control. The government was weak. It was like a ship without a captain in the middle of a storm. Slowly, Saladin proved himself. He helped organize the army. He made smart alliances. When the old ruler of Egypt died, Saladin became vizier, basically the top advisor and leader. But here's what makes him different. He didn't rush into big wars right away. Instead, he focused on something smarter: unity. At that time, Muslim lands were divided into separate regions like Egypt, Syria, and parts of Iraq. Saladin believed they could never defeat the Crusaders if they stayed divided. So for nearly 20 years, he worked carefully to bring these lands together under one strong rule. Think of it like a sports team. If half the team refuses to pass the ball, you'll lose. But if everyone works together, you become unstoppable. By the 1180s, Saladin had united a massive empire, stretching from the Nile River in Egypt all the way to parts of modern-day Iraq. Now he was ready. Then something happened that changed everything. A Crusader knight named Reynold of Chatillon kept breaking peace agreements. He attacked Muslim trading caravans. He even threatened to attack Mecca and Medina, the holiest cities in Islam. This wasn't just about land anymore. It felt like an attack on faith and identity. So in 1187, Saladin gathered his forces for a major battle. It happened near a place called Hattin. Saladin used strategy instead of rushing in blindly. He tricked the Crusader army into marching across dry land during the hottest part of summer. The Crusaders wore heavy metal armor and carried thick shields. They had very little water.
Imagine walking for hours in the blazing sun while wearing a heavy winter coat and carrying weights. You'd be exhausted before you even started fighting.
That's exactly what happened. By the time the real battle began, the Crusaders were tired, thirsty, and weak. Saladin's army surrounded them and attacked. The result was devastating. The Crusader army was destroyed. Their king, Guy of Jerusalem, was captured. A sacred Christian relic called the True Cross was taken. And Renaud, the knight who had broken so many promises, was executed. But here's the surprising part. Saladin did not kill King Guy. He spared him. That decision shocked Europe. Many leaders at the time believed in revenge, but Saladin believed in discipline. He punished those who broke their word, but he did not act out of rage. After that victory, Jerusalem stood vulnerable. People feared the worst. They remembered what happened in 1099 when the Crusaders first captured the city and killed many civilians. They expected revenge. But that's not what Saladin did. When Jerusalem surrendered later in 1187, Saladin allowed civilians to leave safely if they paid a ransom. Many who couldn't afford it were freed anyway. Christian churches were protected. Holy sites were respected. There was no massacre. This decision changed how people saw him. Even some European writers described him as honorable and just. Imagine that, your enemies praising your character. Of course, Europe responded. A new crusade began, known as the Third Crusade. One of its leaders was King Richard I of England, also called Richard the Lionheart. Richard was brave and skilled. He won important battles, like the Battle of Arsuf. Saladin faced serious challenges. But instead of collapsing, Saladin adapted. He avoided total defeat. He protected Jerusalem. It became a battle of strategy and endurance, like two chess masters thinking several moves ahead. Here's something incredible. When Richard became sick during the campaign, Saladin reportedly sent him fruit and even snow to cool his drinks. Yes, during a war. That wasn't weakness, that was confidence. Saladin didn't need cruelty to prove strength. In 1192, the two sides agreed to a truce. Jerusalem would remain under Muslim control, but Christian pilgrims could visit peacefully. It wasn't total victory for either side, but it was stability, and stability mattered more than endless fighting. Now here's the final twist. When Saladin died in 1193, he didn't leave behind mountains of treasure. Historical accounts say he had given away much of his wealth to the poor. There was barely enough money left to cover his funeral expenses. He ruled a powerful empire, but chose generosity over gold. So why does Saladin still matter today? Because he proved that true leadership isn't just about power. It's about patience. It's about unity. It's about keeping your promises. And it's about showing mercy when revenge would be easier. Saladin didn't just defeat the Crusaders in battle. He defeated the idea that strength requires cruelty. And that might be the greatest victory of all. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more real-life tales of leaders who changed history, stick around for the next video, because the past is full of lessons that still matter today.